Hello, welcome everyone. Today we are gonna have another Professional Friday, and we have a very cool guest today. His name is Phil Flock, and he's a friend of mine who's living in Los Angeles for 8 years now, I think. He's also a German filmmaker, and yeah, he's starting to build his career over in Los Angeles in Hollywood, and he's finding his own way doing it. And I'm very inspired by him. He's a very cool and honest person. So I don't wanna take too long to introduce him, and I'll just switch over so he can talk. He can introduce himself. Hello, Phil.
Hey,
What's
how's
up?
it going? Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
For sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm
Let me.
Phil
Let
Flock.
me. Okay, I just made you a
I'm
bit
Phil
louder. You're
Flock,
fine now.
and I'm Phil Flock. Like you said, filmmaker from Germany. I've been doing this for like around 15 years total, 8 years in Hollywood now. And I started my career as a director for commercials and stuff like that. But I switched over to more like action films and narrative content in general. And I've been doing that for a while, and now, luckily, successfully for a few years. So I'm very lucky to be at this place.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, maybe we can start off with a little bit on how we know each other, right? Like we hung out in Los Angeles a few times, and we even made like a short film together. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. This is how I like to get to know people. I don't want to hang out and go to a bar and drink. No, I want to make something together because that's when you really get to know someone.
Yeah, especially when it's creative people, it's so fun. I mean, I remember, I think it was, it was in Los Angeles the first time, and you reached out. I think our friend Miriam connected us. Like she told me that
Oh,
you are in Los
yeah.
Angeles. Yeah. And we started writing, like I started writing a script about the tax refunds or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, then we just filmed that together. And it was a really nice, really interesting process of filming it in your house and doing the visual effects together. Because you also, I think from your story, you started as a filmmaker, cinematographer, and then you learned also visual effects in 3D to kind of like enhance your skills, right?
Yes, well, I started visual effects, 2D visual effects from the start. Like
Hmm.
learned that actually before filmmaking, but I got into 3D like a year and a half ago, so it's pretty recent actually.
I see, yeah. I mean, yeah, for you getting into 3D so recently, I think you're already making big steps. Like your stuff is getting so much better with every week, it feels like. Talking about that, let's watch a short film that you did real quick. This short film you made is called Sucked Off. I also really like your word plays always. So yeah, let's check it out. Nice. Yeah, very impressive, I gotta say.
Yeah, the thing with the title and all that, it wasn't even planned. Like, because I mean, we made the short film with my brother together, and we just wanted to create something epic, just to for fun, because with social media and stuff like that, you don't always get to make something crazy. So we really
Hmm.
spend some time on it, and in the end, Matt actually surprised me with the title in the end, with the title sequence, with the title card, and it was just a joke, just an inside joke for us. But but then eventually it caught on, and people actually enjoyed this like twist basically with the title, and everybody loved it. So we just made it official, and now it's like a big thing in our friend group. Every time we see each other, it's like sucked off, and we watch this short film together. So it was actually just a joke, which became like a thing now.
Yeah, but I feel like you're doing a lot of like these inside jokes in your videos, and I think that's cool because it feels like it makes it feel like you and your friends are just like making this together, and there's a bunch of like jokes you do while making them. So I like that.
That's exactly what it is. Because we're making those short films for us. We're not making those for the broader audience. If it catches on, great, but that's not the goal.
Nice, nice. Maybe oh, I wanted to show like the people here a little bit like the different stuff you do because you are also like a I would call you a content creator, right? Like because you create almost like how often actually do you upload videos? It feels like once or like every day or every second day.
Yeah, well, when I don't work for clients, I try to do a scene a day. If it's like a little bigger scene than like every other day. But mostly I just do that for practice. I don't do that to make a living with that. I mean, I do get paid for it, like through like AdSense and stuff like that. But the real goal of that is just to learn the craft. And that's why I wouldn't technically consider myself a content creator because this is not how I make my living. I just do that for practice, and due to this practice and those scenes I post, that's how I get hired to do professional work.
See, yeah. I mean, like since you do it like that, like you say, you try to do a little scene every day. I think that's a big thing that helps you to improve so quickly. I mean, outside of
Yeah.
like that, you obviously like know a lot about filmmaking in general, right? Like cinematography, lighting, directing, and yeah, and I think all of that really helps you to learn 3D animation so quickly now. I actually want to show a little video here just to like show how your content looks like with your little tutorial that you did here. Just gonna play the beginning.
In this video, I'm gonna try to help you to get your VFX skills in Blender to the next level. We are trying to make a hole into the ground where you can jump over just touching a few bits and pieces
Yeah.
floating in the air. So basically, it's called a set extension.
Yeah. So is this also like a thing you spend one day on and then afterwards thought, oh, let's make a whole tutorial out of this?
It became like that. Usually, I just have an idea for a tutorial, and then I just make the scene during the tutorial. But I noticed that it's a mistake because then the result is not as good. Because in a tutorial, you're always a little rushed, or at least I put pressure on myself to get through it faster, and it's
Hmm.
not going to be as good. So I started, just finishing a scene, and then when I feel like, okay, I could make a tutorial out of that, then I basically break it down and make a simpler version of it.
I see. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
like you
sense.
see right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
like this one is basically the same idea, but without any effort, just to show the basics so anybody can follow along.
Yeah, I like that approach. Makes a lot of sense. All right. I would like to hear a little bit more about your background. Like I told a little bit where I know you come from and what you've learned, but like what is your background? Like can you explain where you come from, what you learned, and how you even got to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I started filmmaking, like I said, 15 years ago, and back then I was a personal trainer at the time. I was like training kids, teaching them how to swim, that kind of stuff. But my brother Matt, he invited me to visit him in LA. He already lived here, and he is an entertainment designer. So while I was here, he could show me around the Hollywood studios, and I was already interested in filmmaking, but I never considered doing that as a career because I thought being a filmmaker for a living, that doesn't happen. That's just like a Hollywood thing. It's not real. But he showed me that it actually is real, and ever since, I just bought my first camera. At the time, it was a Canon 600D, like a $600 camera. So I started making one short film a week just
Hmm.
to learn the craft as good as I could. So I was doing that for a year. And after, I don't know, 50, 60 short films, I felt ready to do that for living. So finally, I got booked for my first big commercial. Because that's how you make a living as a beginner. First big commercial, got paid $70.
Hell yeah, dude.
Uh,
You must be rich now.
Yeah, but for me, it was a big success because, when you spend so much time on something to learn something and finally you make $1 back, it was a big deal. So I'll never forget the first $70 I made, or
Hmm.
euros at the time.
Yeah, nice.
Um, Yeah, so I made this commercial, and then I realized it's very hard to make a living with like narrative content, but with commercials, with ads, with corporate videos, image films, how we call it in Europe, there is a bigger industry. So I started focusing on that. But the thing is, if you notice, if you focus on trying to make money with your art, you're gonna lose the art part of it. So it's not as much fun because it's not fun to make corporate videos. It's because it's like always the same and shooting interviews. Some people have a passion for it. I definitely don't. And
Mm.
eventually I learned that I just wanted to go back to the roots, making action films like I did like the first year, like one action film a week, because that's fun for me, It's like it doesn't feel like work, and if it doesn't feel like work, and it pays the bills, that's the right thing to do. But anyway, so my story, like then I went to film school where I met Miriam, and after that I got hired to do a not short film, a web series in Berlin. That's how I got to Berlin.
Mm.
Captain Awesome, because we did this 99 Fire Films Award. You're probably familiar with that,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you have 99 hours to make a 99-second short film. So we got under the best 99 and went to Berlin to the red carpet event, the Berlinale. And there we didn't win anything, but they liked our idea so much that they wanted to make a web series. So we moved to Berlin, worked on this web series. From there, I got hired to do like bank commercials for Sparkasse.
Ah, okay.
Sparkasse, the German. So that was like my first big job, like real big job. Um, and then eventually, like I said, I felt like I'm not utilizing my skills and talents, and most importantly passions, for like narrative film or narrative storytelling, because commercials are just not as exciting. So yeah, then eventually I got this little spec commercial gig for Facebook for VR, the Meta Oculus, or at the time it was Oculus Rift in
Hmm.
Hollywood. So I came to LA for a few months, worked on that, and then I got hired to do this little Netflix job for the movie Bright, doing visual effects on that. Bright with Will Smith. I don't know if you've seen it.
Haven't seen that
Um,
one, no.
yeah, it's Will Smith with orcs basically.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's it's basically like Training Day. It's also from the same writer, like Training Day. It's basically the same concept, but with orcs. Yeah, so I worked on that, doing visual effects on that. And in LA, it was like going so well in the right direction. There was like, you know what? Let's just stay here and figure it out. And that's what I did.
Nice, cool. And how did you? I guess like I would like to hear a little bit of the continuation of that. Like, because do you do mostly your own stuff now, or you still like depend on commercial projects or even image movies?
No, I completely stopped doing corporate videos. I only do projects I really want to work on. This is like a luxury of mine that I say no to 95% of all potential clients, which is financially not the smartest decision, but it just makes me a very happy person. It's to have the luxury to only work on projects that I'm really passionate about. It's a great place to be, and I wouldn't trade it for any millions in the world. So really, I focus on those projects, and I have maybe like 2 or 3 a month of those. So those pay the bills basically.
Hmm.
And the other 26 days in the month, I just work on my own little films. Now, I just try to learn Blender and 3D art, just to learn another craft, put another tool in my toolbox, and make those tutorials, because that's another passion of mine. To all the education I received throughout the years, sometimes paid, sometimes free, I try to give it out for free. This is like what I believe. We have this system in Germany where you don't pay for college, and I wish it was the same in America, but it's very expensive to go to school in America, and I don't like it. So everything I know, I would just want to give it away, because there's like so much potential in the world, but most people just they can't fulfill their potential because they're lacking on communication mediums, places where they can learn stuff. So that's just my idea, that if there is someone who wants to become a professional artist, that the tools are all there. He just has to do the work.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be in the position. Hey, I charge you $100,000 per year so you can learn something. Maybe no, I want to do it for free. And
Maybe if you're lucky.
everybody who wants to be everybody who wants to be an artist can be an artist. It's just up to them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think also it's like mostly a question of determination. Like how much are you ready to invest of your time, or like how much time do you have to invest?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much are you ready to be an artist? Because it's not an easy lifestyle. The the system is not made to be an artist. But yeah, if you
Yeah.
want to do it, it can be a good life. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it especially impressive because we come from like Western countries, and we have like gaming computers and all that available, like from Indian countries or African countries. Like a big chunk of my following come from there, and I see how much they struggle to get a basic computer just to get started with like light 3D work. It's very hard for them. For us to spend $1,000 on a decent, okay computer, it's doable. But $1,000 in India, this is like a million to them, or like a lot. So it's like, and some of them can even figure it out, and I find it very impressive because we do have the privilege of having a higher general income to actually afford all that, because it doesn't end there, right? We need cameras, we need lenses, we need lighting. If we do more than just 3D work like I do, it's a lot. And if someone from like a poorer country can figure it out, yeah, they have the biggest respect for me.
I like that you point that out. Yeah, I've also have some Indian friends from the Discord server now, and yeah, it's always interesting to see when like they have power outages. Like that seems to be like a common
Yeah.
occurrence there. So yeah, it's definitely a different environment to learn this stuff. It's even a higher dedication you need to provide that to be able to do it, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Like something you don't consider from a other country. Like I always tell them, why would you buy a laptop for like a tower? You get so much more out of it, obviously, but you don't consider the power outages. With a laptop, your computer is not going to crash your laptop's not going to crash with the power outage, but the tower is going to crash. Like we had those with the LA fires. Like we had a power outage all the time, and suddenly, my computer crashes all the time, and it's like, this is what it's like.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next topic. I would like to hear about your favorite project or experience that you had in the past in your creative career.
I would say I have like two, one in Germany, one in LA. And it's basically based on the same thing. Because as an artist, you're a lot like a lone wolf. You always work on your own, and in your little cabin or wherever you're working, you're always like just alone. But when I was working on this Sparkasse commercial, this bank commercial, it was the first time I was working in a bigger team in post production. I had like those designers and those logo makers, or like those editors, and everybody was like in one room, and everybody was a specialist in their field, and I felt like, man, I'm part of the team. It feels so good. It's not just on my shoulders; it's like all of us, and that felt great. I had that in Germany, in Berlin, but I had a double when I came to LA. Like right after I got my work permit, I worked on a Call of Duty game, Black Ops 3, I believe, like the zombie game. A- And there was the same deal. Like I was working, I had to drive to an office, first of all, which was also like new because, as an artist, you work from home a lot. So I had to go to an office. We had two cute dogs in the office, which is already a plus. I love dogs.
Amazing.
And those people, they're like not just specialists, they're the best in their field in what they do. And I almost felt like an imposter. I don't belong there because they're just too good at what they do. um Yeah, and that was just a great experience. Plus, working on a game everybody knows, because sometimes or very often you work on projects like nobody, you can't even brag about, because you say, yeah, I'm working on this short film, yada yada, and nobody knows that. But Call of Duty is such a big franchise that when you say, hey, I work on Call of Duty right now and I'm getting paid a lot of money for it, I finally felt like I made it. It's like this I made it feeling I haven't
It's
had
a real
thus
success
far.
moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I was working on that for five weeks, which is a pretty long time for me to work on the project. Usually it's just a week or two.
Mm.
So I made a lot of money during that time. I had great people around me. We worked on a game I used to play as a child, and did animation. I was in my field. So it's like everything just came into place. And I just felt all this gratitude that finally those decades of being a starving artist, it finally paid off. It finally paid off, and I was working on cool things, and I learned a lot from those people, obviously, because if you work with people who are dumber than you, or just as dumb as you are, you're not going to learn much. But if you work with people who are like so good at what they do, you're just going to learn so much so fast. And you get paid for it. It's like a win-win, double win. And yeah, it was just a great experience, and I like to think back to those times, because once you're there once, and you take it for granted if it happens again, because everything you
Mm.
do on a regular basis eventually just becomes a job,
Just
like any
becomes
other
normal,
job.
of course.
Yeah, and I just try to hold on to this gratitude. Sometimes, I drive through LA and I'm in traffic, and life sucks, because this is like always goes back to the default to everything is just like so average. But then I just have to remind myself, I drive through LA traffic. I see downtown, the sun is shining in mid-December. I have my top off and my convertible top off. I'm living the dream. So I just have to remind myself everything is perfect. It couldn't be any better. But like the default status of happiness always goes down to it's just normal. So
Yeah,
just
it's super annoying
yeah.
how humans are naturally like that. How everything becomes normal to us. I guess it's a way for us to like wanting to keep improve, right? To like or keep building something up, even if we already have like a great life. But yeah, I think it's also like you said, really important to remember and remind yourself that this is where you wanted to be, and this, you kind of like, yeah, you achieved a lot of things to get here and you worked hard to get here. So yeah, being grateful, feeling gratitude is very important to put time into, I think, like you said.
Yeah, I think it's a German in us. It's because we're so German, and we're like our default is like always depression. It's I just can't turn it off. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, it's definitely part of German culture too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what you're planning this year. Like, what are your goals for the end of this year?
Since I fell in love so much with like social media and with the community, my social media goal is to reach 100,000 followers on every platform. Like
Hmm.
I got there with Facebook last year. I'm at like 270,000 or so, and it's a very healthy community, very cool people there. On YouTube, it's going in the right direction. I'm at 12,000 something right now, with my tutorials. Instagram is slowly growing. I'm at 7,000. TikTok is like 30,000. So it's going in the right direction. So 100K per platform is the goal. It's just a number. I don't really care about it. We always like try to reach certain like thresholds. So that's my social media goal. On the professional level, last year we wrote, my brother and I, we worked on a feature film script. We wrote it last year, and this year, or like end of last year, basically it got picked up by a producer who wants to make it.
Ah, okay, nice.
So we actually got funding for it. So the goal for this year is going to be making it, and which is very exciting. I've made like millions or like thousands of short films in my life, but I've never made my own feature film.
Mm.
So
Have you ever
I'm very
tried making
excited.
a feature film?
No, not my own. I obviously worked on many other feature films where you get hired, but my own, I never attempted it because I always got scared because, budget and all that. I don't want to start a feature film if I can't pay people
Hmm.
because, yeah, nobody's going to get anything out of it anyways. But now we got funding, so we can actually pay everyone, and I'm just very excited to do that and learn from all my mistakes I'm gonna make because it's basically like making your very first short films. You just make them to make mistakes and you learn and you grow, and then eventually your second feature film or third feature film are gonna actually become good. So I'm very excited to fail this year.
Nice. I'm happy to hear that. Can you say anything about the movie, like what it's gonna be about?
um, it's a survival thriller, so it's like a low budget horror film basically. Think of 127 Hours, where James Franco gets stuck between the rocks.
Ah, yeah.
Um, so it's all one location, and which keeps it lower budget. And it's based on a children's game. That's what I can say. Think
Oh,
of Spin the Bottle, but something different.
I see. Okay.
Um,
Twister.
and maybe, and yeah, I can't say much about that because
That's okay. That's okay.
and NDAs and whatnot. But yeah, it's basically based on a children's game, but it is a adults comedy, not comedy, crime, disaster thriller, basically, or like The Happening. You know The Happening?
I haven't
With
seen that one now.
yeah, it's basically like there is like this global event. Everybody on Earth is dying. We don't know why, but it's happening, and they figure out the rules of what they can do and what they cannot do.
Hmm.
And it's about a group of friends who try to survive. And while they're trying to survive, they have to figure out their personal conflicts with each other.
See. Okay, man. Yeah, then
115
excited.
pages of fun.
115.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Well,
Yeah,
the producer told us to cut it down to like 90 or 95.
Mhm.
Because budget reasons. But yeah, we'll see. It's going to be exciting.
Nice. Yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited to hear how it's going later down this year. Is there to like go to the next topic? What is your opinion on the current state of the creative industry?
Um, Yeah, people always like to complain about everything. Like it doesn't matter how good or bad things are going, people always complain. I always try to see the positive. The current state, at least in LA, well, we went through a few problems. We had the writer's strike, we had the actor strike, then AI is coming along, taking our jobs away, and obviously I felt that too. I see people in my circle, it hit them worse than me. And um, I think the problems comes always down if you don't diversify your portfolio. It's like in stocks, for example. But if you only rely on one income source, then you're always going to get hit by whatever the industry is up to, right?
Hmm.
So with the writer's strike, people were out of work because people were not allowed to shoot anymore. So there's no post production anymore. So what if you had your own, social media following and you can make your own stuff? That would be a thing to think of. But no, people always like rely on like the industry. The industry is evil. The industry is controlling us. And yeah, we are controlled by whatever the environment is doing. And I think, to answer your question, um, it doesn't matter what the industry is doing if you continue working as hard as you can on whatever you're doing and diversify your income streams. Yeah, like I said, I lost annoying jobs or like cool jobs for annoying reasons. Like those guys wanted to have some VFX for their for ads, but I charge what I charge, and they're like, "But can't you do this with AI in like 5 minutes?" I mean, I can, maybe someone can, but I'm not an AI artist, so you figure it out. So those are the annoying conversations when they think AI is this magical tool, like almost like a god, which can do anything from thin air.
Yeah.
Maybe it can. I'm not an AI artist. I wouldn't know, but this is just the annoying part. But I try to be optimistic. I personally don't use AI as much as I probably should, but I just have like this bitter relationship to it. Um, yeah, and other than that, like I said, like when COVID happened, like everybody was like, "Oh, the industry is going down the hill, or down the drain." The COVID year was my most successful year ever
Mm.
because all those people had to shut down, and me as an independent filmmaker who wasn't afraid to put on the mask and go to set, I was making so much money. I didn't know what to do with it, so I had to buy a Mustang I don't use, So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no,
so
same actually. Like, yeah, the COVID year was for me luckily also all good because yeah, like I've been doing 3D and VFX for a long time by then, and everything basically that they wanted to do practical live action, they then came to me to ask, hey, can we actually do this with post production
awesome.
instead? So yeah, it's
Yeah,
like always
yeah.
I guess as you, like you say, like if you have diverse skills and you diversify your income, you don't know what will change about your environment, and then suddenly people will need that skill of yours that you have been developing in the background.
Yeah, I think that, like having the skill sets plural is the most important thing you can think of as an artist. Most people they just do one thing only, which is fine, because you don't want to go to a dentist who's selling shoes. You want to be specialized in something, and that makes sense. But as a, like a one-man band or like a one-stop shop, you want to have as many skills as you can. That's why I learned Blender or like 3D, because this is like another skill set people can hire me for, because I can do cinematography, I can shoot their films and do their 3D visual effects. Yeah, we have to hire this guy instead of going to this one cinematographer and the other VFX guy, and then gets wishy-washy. No, the more skills you have and the better you get, the more successful you can be.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think
that's true
both.
for like most jobs.
I think both directions work out. Like even if you are like someone who specializes on only one thing, like 3D modeling, for example, like you can still be very successful, but I think you're much more, yeah, in danger of these like changing environments when like something changes and you've been specializing in that your whole life. Suddenly you kind of like lost and like need to find something new to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, that's also like with 3D animation or 3D design. It's also the thing, it's not just one skill set. Like I said, 3D modeling, me personally, I don't know anything about modeling. Like I would never be like, oh yeah, I can model you this car or whatever. No, I would never attempt that. I would hire someone to do that for me or find free assets. Like the only thing I do model on my scenes are 3D catchers. If I have like a live action scene and I need like I mean shadow catchers. Like
Yeah.
if I need those, that I'm like able to model. But to actually have a functioning model of like a can or something like that, I would never try that. So I work a lot with assets, and some people who are specialized in modeling, yeah, those people are awesome. Or like animation is like the better example. Like if someone can rig something or animate something, this is like a crazy skill. They should charge more for that because it's very difficult to learn. Um,
Yeah, character
yeah,
animation
but
is
this is like
super,
another
super
skill.
hard.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like on the topic of AI, I wanted to also ask like what makes it so bitter for you? Like what's your bitter relationship with that topic?
Yeah, like I said, people see like all those AI created videos or images, and that basically make them think that everything I create, where I spend hours, weeks, months sometimes, that those are AI created just by a prompt, which is just not. Imagine you build a house and you've been working on this for years, and somebody was like, "Oh, it's just like a blocky Tesla house, which you just order from Amazon or whatever."
Hmm.
And like all this hard work you poured into it is just gonna get destroyed like that just by thinking, and people thinking, "Oh, it's just AI generated. Anybody can do that." No, man, I was working on this very, very hard. This is frustrating.
It takes away from the value of your work, you feel like.
Exactly. And even though people who know about how to make things, they know that this is not true, but common knowledge, and like common people, they think it's easy to make, and therefore you can't charge your rate anymore because they think it can be done easily. When I tell people, yeah, this 10-second scene is going to take me 5 days to make, and I charge $10,000 for it. Let's just say whatever number, and they're like, "But I thought AI, you can do this in like an hour." I always tell people, then do it, but don't reach out to me. Like I just find it very, very annoying.
See, yeah. And I also come across this what you told, that like people think that AI can do anything, which is really not true. Like the control you have over AI right now is so limited. You can't really have like big concise pieces. Like everything doesn't really fit together. It's very hard to make something truly artistic with it. I guess like it really depends on on your final result, on what you want. But what most people want to watch is not really that easily doable with AI. Except for
Yeah,
social
I,
media, maybe.
I,
Like
I think,
I see so much
yeah, yeah,
AI
yeah.
generated videos of cats and dogs that like my parents send around, and it's pretty creepy.
Yeah, I mean, on social media, that's the thing. It's like so easy to create like shorts now, like the short form content. So the social media is flooded with that kind of stuff. And I think that's why, for me personally, what I always do is post those before afters, like my final result on top and the before, how I recorded it on the bottom. I think that is a big difference, because AI doesn't have a before after. It's just an after.
Mm.
And if people actually see that, hey, this guy actually worked on something, he just created this thing from scratch to show that, and even if it's not like a full breakdown, if it's just before after, hey, this is the green screen shot, this is the final result, or this is like the 3D viewport, and this is the final result, then people actually notice, hey, this thing's actually handmade with love, and blood and sweat, and it's not just like a prompt. And when it comes to VFX, I mean, AI cannot make VFX because, like you said, it's lacking like consistency. Like it has to look the same way in all those different shots, and AI just can't do that yet. In a few years, maybe, but not right now. So for VFX, for real movie VFX, I think our jobs are safe right now. But I believe, I'm not a music video creator or anything, but I believe if it's just like surreal actions in different environments, maybe AI can come up with something.
Yeah,
Just
I
to create
mean,
cool images with quick cuts and whatever. I think AI could work for that, but you probably know more about that than me.
yeah, I mean, it almost feels like more like a conversation about art style. Like if you want your video to have the art style of AI generated,
Yeah.
videos or images, right? Like is that the direction you want to take it? But you can't expect to have like a traditional, well-made music video with AI. Like it's almost like two different art styles.
Yeah, I also noticed that AI is getting worse. I think what's happening is because so much AI art is being created, and AI is getting created by referencing other images and videos, right?
Yeah,
So I feel like AI is referencing more and more AI images, so it becomes even weirder.
yeah,
Um,
that could be true. Yeah,
yeah, which is the funny thought. It's like AI learning from AI, which is actually
yeah,
getting worse and better.
yeah, yeah. It's like incest for AI.
Yeah, basically. Insys AI. It's a good name actually.
Uh, is there any like opportunities you see right now? Like when you look at the creative industry, like are there any great opportunities and avenues that you see people could or should try out in this year?
Yeah, like I said, I'm always a fan of whatever you do, put it online, put it on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, because this is like this one opportunity professional artists, especially like very professional artists, I see not utilizing because, like I said, they're waiting for jobs, and if they're not gonna get paid, they're not gonna do anything because I don't know, laziness, or they don't want to be thrown together in the same pot like YouTubers and all that, which I understand. But social media is such a powerful platform just to advertise your work, which is free. You know, this kind of reach, it would have cost millions to get on to put it on a billboard somewhere to be like, hey, hire me, I'm a VFX artist. Now everybody has this access to it on their phones to advertise their work. And this is like the biggest opportunity I see people are missing out on. That's why it doesn't matter how shitty or good my work is, I always put it online because in the worst case, it can inspire someone to do something similar but better. In the best case, someone is going to see it and be like, hey, I'm going to hire this guy because this is the exact same thing I need for my film right now, which happens like all the time. This is how I get 90% of my jobs, just by putting on an Instagram or Facebook and people see it and hire me for it. So this is like the big opportunity, but this is like not a new opportunity. It's been around for like the past 10 years.
I do feel
But people,
also feel like creating or like being your own kind of like content creator online, just like publishing stuff you do. I feel like this year is a good year for that because the traditional industry, the traditional media is struggling still, right? Like it's getting harder to make money there. But on the other side, social media seems to be actually working better now than it used to for like in the last few years. Like this year, also I've like learned some things about how social media prefers more human interactions now, right? Like if you create videos that are longer form and more about talking and like just being a natural person, a natural human, those things get more
yeah.
preferred now because I think people just get tired of this over edited and over consumable stuff. They just want more natural interactions again, more natural media.
Yeah, I mean, history always repeats itself, and that's basically how videos started. There was like those 20-minute vlogs where there was rarely a cut in there because people didn't know how to, but then all those new influencers came around where everybody's like talking all hyped up and cut, 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 and obviously it's going to go back and forth a lot. And following the trend was never like that's like my pet peeve, following trends. I just can't. I hate it. um but yeah, you're right. Like right now it is more trendy to have like those longer, more normal videos, but also because social media also is a business, just like anything else. You have to treat it as a business. And for YouTube, for example, the longer the video, the more money, yes, the creator can make, but mostly the more money the YouTube itself, Google, can make, right? So that makes sense. They realize, okay, you can make shorts, but there's not that much money to make in shorts. um and it always comes down to money. Like YouTube for us or Instagram for us is just a tool, but for them, that's their whole business model, right? So they try to figure out how can we make more money, and the creators, they're the stupid ones. They're just putting out all this content for free, basically hoping to make a few bucks on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook. That they're making the millions with our content we're creating. That's really silly, really, when you think about it. It's, for us creators, a very stupid approach to make a business, but it just works. It's
Yeah.
easy for us. We don't have to build a website, and everybody knows YouTube. Everybody knows how to Google something and then be found.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean,
like a
it's
double-edged sword.
yeah. I mean, ideally, it would be like it's like a coexistence, right? Like where one, I mean, we need each other, right? Like we need the platform to make it easy for us to publish our work, and the platform needs us to create stuff. So they want to make sure that they can nurture us by like paying us enough so we can live off it. So yeah, like it should be like coexistence in a healthy way. I don't
Yeah.
know how much that is the case, but it seems like it's not the most terrible it can be.
Yeah, I mean, I see how YouTube, like all the social medias, are trying to improve every year. They have those all new tools. Like, I don't know, like for product placements, usually product placements were always like your own business, how you know, get approached by a company and then you have a deal and then you do their product placements. But now it's like also part of YouTube that you know, companies can reach out to you through your YouTube, and so YouTube can also get their cut, you know, which is lame, but it's like easier. Like everything tries to be automated, right? So uh, yeah, I get it. It just tries to be like a well-oiled machine where everybody makes their cut, right? But for us creators, it's we're making less and less money for the same amount of work we're putting into.
Let's see. I would already like to ask everyone who's here in the live stream to write down questions you have for Phil. Like if you have any questions you want to ask him, or if you are a student at Cover School, you can also join the stage on the Discord channel and talk with us directly. Yeah. So let's wait a few moments for people to write questions or join if they feel like it. And after that, we would come to the last segment of the interview, which is kind of like an interactive experiment that I'm very excited to always try out with my guests.
Okay.
So yeah. So maybe while we wait a little bit, I mean, we talked in private a little bit, but I think maybe it's also interesting for the people to hear your perspective on the LA fires. Like, what's your report on that?
Yeah. Well, firstly, like I don't want to say it's blown out of proportions because the images we saw on the news are real, but the news always make it sound like LA is on fire. But do you have any idea how big LA is? Like LA wasn't on fire. Like districts, like towns in LA were on fire. So that's the first thing. And you know, yes, it was terrible. Like for me personally, it didn't hit me that much. Like yes, I could see the fires like 360 around me. Like I didn't see the fires, I saw glowing sky around me, so it did feel like being in the middle of like an apocalypse movie. But my house was safe. My city is safe. I live in the valley, west of the valley. Um, so it wasn't that bad. Yes, the places where the fires were, that must have been terrifying, and I can only imagine. And I really feel for the people who lived through that or lost their lives there. I really feel bad about that. But it's I feel also like annoyed by all the people like me who were safe, but they need all this attention from social media. Oh, I need to evacuate because the fires are 20 kilometers away. It's like all this attention seeking on Instagram is like, all this conspiracy theories. Oh, someone set this on fire just to get attention. This is like always the annoying part for me. Like, and I don't know what's wrong with people, Like people are dying out there, but I need attention where I'm like completely safe. It's like, oh, everything is so terrible. It's just shut the fuck up if you don't have anything to say. This is like my opinion on that, because it's like people are really hurting right now and you're not, so just be quiet. You don't have anything to say if you don't have anything to say. That's just the annoying part for me.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of my friends like helped other people, right? Like there was a lot of community helping each other, and I really liked to see that. Like that seems to be, I think that's a pretty strong thing in California. Like it really feels like the communities are pretty tight together. They want to help each other. At least that's what I what I
Yeah,
experience from
no,
my
no, no.
friends.
That is a beautiful thing because you know people always fight against something, right? And usually people fight against each other. You know, it's like the left against the right. It's like Trump or Kamala. Like someone is against someone. You know, black
Mm.
versus white. You know, racism. Someone is always fighting. But in an event like this, it's very nice to see how everybody unites. You know, and becomes like one strong group. That's beautiful to see, actually.
Yeah, it's very nice to see that people are still able to do that. Whatever climate we are in politically, like still people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, me personally, I try to not get out because my health is very important to me. And the smokes, even though the fires were far, the smoke was still dangerous. So I basically didn't leave the house for like a week or two.
Hmm.
Um, so there was like the only thing, and we had a dog from one of our friends, Technical Black. Um, she she had to go to a hospital because of the smoke. She had
Oh, okay.
yeah, she had to be hospitalized, so we took care of her dog. So that and donations, that's how far my volunteering went. I didn't go out to feed people. I didn't do any of that. I just had a dog here and I donated to a few, places.
Nice. Okay. We actually have a student here in the call now, Zach. He's also from America, and I think he has a question for you, Phil. Zach, do you want to talk to us?
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome.
Great
Hey,
conversation so far. It's been fun to listen to, so thank you.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, so Phil, I do have a question for you. Well, personally, I've been learning all this stuff kind of new over the last few months, and when you start tackling a project, like I guess, what was probably the most valuable lesson for you when you were learning or mastering um, I guess working on a project with multiple software, like that you have this great vision for something, and you'll probably need more than one software device to kind of tie it all together. And you're trying to develop a workflow for the first time or for the fifth time, whatever. But like, at what point do you think you had something click in your mind, or like you had a really valuable lesson? Like, this just made my life so much easier when I'm trying to like develop a workflow using multiple softwares, because at least for somebody getting started, it's really daunting.
Hmm. Good question. Yeah.
uh, great question. Most importantly, which is more of a general answer for you, is like is also something I learned at Call of Duty. You don't want to outwork your computer. You want your computer to outwork you. So if you work on a project which is like so render intense that you have to wait for the computer for all the time to render, then it's probably not the right project for the right time because you don't have the right hardware to work with it.
Hmm.
Because you're going to spend too much time just waiting and you're not going to learn anything while you wait. That's my first thought on that. Um, More specialized, so it's like when it comes to workflow, I would say make sure that you use the right software for the right things. Like for example, me personally, I never would composite in Blender because there is compositing software which can composite things better. So that's just be smart with the resources you have, and don't be lazy when it comes to like switching softwares all the time, which is also like my problem sometimes because I just when it comes to like for example I want this explosion in the scene and I do this in Blender, but I know 100% if I made this explosion in Embergen, I know it's going to look better, I know it's going to be faster, I know all those things, but I'm just so hesitant to switch softwares. So you just have to jump over your shadow and you just do those things, or even pay money for those tools. It's definitely worth it. Does that answer your question, or
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate the insight. It's a scary thing to start thinking about this software, and I think it's really easy, at least so far by playing, to put too much weight on one platform and potentially overloading it. So I
yeah?
appreciate that.
I have
Yeah.
I have one more for you, Zach. Though, don't you said you're like in the beginning of your art career? I would say don't bite off more than you can chew. It's always good to attack some challenging projects, but don't bite off more than you can chew, because then it's just getting frustrated, and you just can't bring your vision to life. And one lesson I've learned as a filmmaker in general is don't start with your best idea. Like my very first short film was, I just made my favorite, not necessarily my best idea, but my favorite idea I had. I did it with my first short film, and obviously it was garbage because it's my first short film. Of course it's going to be trash. And it comes down to like any piece of art. Like let's say you want to learn how to draw. You're not going to start with the Mona Lisa, you're going to start with stick figures, and you draw, excuse me, you draw so many stick figures until those look so good that you can move on to like more shaped, portraits. And that comes down to any kind of art. You want to have quantity over quality, and don't get your best visions out first. Get your best visions out last, once you know the craft. So keep those two challenging projects for later, until you know exactly what you're doing.
It's an interesting take on that. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of like what James Cameron did with Avatar, right? Like when he realized that he couldn't make that movie. I think like they wrote the script already in the 90s or the beginning of 2000s, and they realized to be able to make that movie, they just had to wait for technology to catch up. But it's probably also a balancing act, because you want to obviously stay motivated on doing the things, right? And to be motivated, you need to like the ideas that you're creating. So it's it's like a balancing act to find the right balance.
There's a lots of projects to like, but your favorite thing, I don't know. Like for example, a stupid example, I always thought about, or dreaming of, I want to learn 3D animation one day, because I want to do this effect where I have this car in my driveway and I do like a magical spell with my wand, and I fly it out of my driveway. This is something I always wanted to do, and I don't know, it's just a stupid idea I've seen in movies, and I always wanted to do that. And it was also like one of my first Blender projects I've ever done, and it's actually turned out pretty decent, considering I didn't know what I was doing. But it's very challenging to do something like that, compared to, instead of just putting a CG car into my driveway just as still. I should have done that instead, and I should have done that 10, 20 times before I even attempted to animate this, because then I have to again wait for the render time, or something went wrong, I have to fix it, render it again. I would have learned so much more if I toned down a little and just learned the basics scene by scene first, and making stills over videos, because in stills you can just learn so much faster. And I didn't make enough stills in my life, because I always was filmmaking oriented. So I was always thinking, okay, I have to make animations. But no, just work on stills, because you can learn so much more when it comes to VFX or like environment design and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. Yeah. Stills are just way less computer intensive. So
Great. No, I appreciate all the guidance. I think that's absolutely on the nose. So thank you so much. I look forward to. I'll be hanging out. I'm actually at work right now, so I have to. I'll be listening up to the rest of the stream. While I'm doing other stuff. But thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. See you soon. All right, cool. All right, I don't see any particular new questions, but the big Shabolski is here for the backflip. Phil, can you do a backflip real quick?
No, that's my office is too tight. But thanks, Sha. Yeah. I don't know if you know Sha. He's my best friend. He was Captain Awesome in the series we did in Berlin.
I'm not sure. Does he live in LA now too?
No. He lives back home, but he used to visit me a lot.
Okay, no, I don't think I met him yet. No.
No, he's a great guy. Like my best friend.
Nice. All right, I would say let's go and try out the interactive mind exploration thing. For like, I would say like, let's take like 10 minutes for that. You got another 10 minutes, Phil?
I have 20 for you.
Hell yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, so this experiment is basically about trying to figure out how your imagination works, right? Because every person imagines things, and like kind of how their imagination works can be very different. So, and it also is kind of like linked to how they work and how they create. So I think it's always very interesting for yourself and also for the people who are fans of yours to like understand, what kind of differences there are and how a person works a little bit more from the inside. So
Okay.
what I'd like you to do is, because I'm going to ask you to imagine things, and usually it's easier with closed eyes. So if you like to, you can start closing your eyes, and
Okay.
and whatever you see, whatever you imagine, or whatever you hear, whatever you feel, try to just communicate that back to me. Like, tell me anything that's happening for you. All right. Let's just start off with an apple. I want you to imagine an apple.
I see an apple in a huge environment, like in a desert. It's snowing. Yeah, it's like it's like a pyramids in Egypt. That's how I see the apple. It's tilted to the left. It's halfway in the ground.
Interesting. Is it like a snow dune, like a desert but made of snow?
Yeah, exactly. It's not much snow. It's just a little. Imagine you're like in the middle of the desert and just started snowing for the first time in like 100 years. It's what it feels like.
Okay. Can you pick that apple up? Can you hold it in your hand?
No, it's too big. It's way too big.
Oh, it's like a huge apple.
Yeah, it's like a pyramid in Egypt.
Ah, I see. All right, so I would like you to still try to like pick it up. Can you do it somehow?
Okay. I must be very strong for that, but yeah, I'm very close, wrapping my arms around, and yeah, I got it.
All right, cool. How does it feel? Like, what exactly do you experience right now?
Uh, Pain in my back because it's so heavy,
Is it
but I
like
feel very accomplished that I actually got it because it's huge.
nice? Is that pain you feel like actually like physically you can feel it, or is it more like an imagination of pain?
Well, I do feel pain in my back because I'm an old man, but no, imaginary pain.
I see. Okay. Now that you've like lifted it up, can you try to like turn it into something else, like I don't know, like an airplane, for example?
Okay. So I just turn it with magical powers into a plane?
Hmm. How did that look like? What happened?
Oh, you know how in Harry Potter they disapparate, like it warps into like nothingness?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
I see. Okay.
It warped into nothingness and then a plane got created.
Ah, okay. Okay. So it kind of like got sucked in and then like
Yeah.
expanded outwards as a plane again.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm kind of interested on the detail. Like, if you look at that plane, like, can you go inside and like, can you look at all the little details on the fabric from the seats, for example?
For me, for whatever reason, it's more vintage. It's like a red carpet in the center, and it's like the seats are like brown. Yeah, it looks like more of it is built like a modern plane, but it looks like one of those older planes, like very vintage.
Mm-hmm. And can you like detail wise, can you like go all the way close up to like the seats, for example, and see all the small details on the surfaces?
Yeah, all the seats, like yeah, they're like used, like you know how the leather is like, you know, falling off because
Mm,
it must be a very old plane.
See. What I'm
Yeah,
also
I see dirt on the ground. So yeah, I don't know if this plane is still usable. It's hard to say.
should not be up here. I'm also interested in kind of like understanding how your view of all of this works. Like, do you feel like you yourself are there, or is it more like you're looking through a lens or through a window? How does it look? How do you perceive it?
It is point of view. I would say it's a 22 millimeter lens, and it's definitely shot on a gimbal or on tracks because it's very smooth camera movement.
Uh-huh.
So a
Like,
very wide angle lens. Think of David Fincher Fight Club shots.
hmm. Does it in general
That's how.
feel like movie shots when you imagine these things, or is it more like your personal experience of looking into the world?
First of all, it was like more of a personal experience. Now, when you said that, the contrast increased, and I got letter boxes, so it looks more of a movie right now.
Nice, nice. Can you also like I don't know how it was in the like past up to this point, but like when you move around and stuff, is it kind of like you're flying or is it cuts like you're cutting into different perspectives?
It's cutting. I had a dolly in like before, like I was like going to the aisle, like a push in, and
Hmm.
then it cuts to like the close-ups, almost like a commercial for this plane. That's what it looked like.
Interesting, interesting. If that just came naturally, or you wanted to have it that way?
No, it came naturally.
I see, I see. Yeah, I think I saw that a lot when we're talking with artists and cinematographers. Like the imagination already works that way automatically. Mm, let me try. I would like to try a few more like senses, like to see if like other senses of yours are strong imagination wise. For example, sound. Like, can you hear what's happening around you with this plane?
I It is flying. I can hear like the vibration of the plane and then the engine. I can hear chit chat in the background, so there must be people on it too.
Hmm.
But it's like the suppressed, as if my ears, from the what is it called, from the pressure, can feel the pressure on my ears.
Hmm. It would be interesting maybe to like for you to say in percentage wise, like if 100% is how you hear and see things in the real world, how clear is it what you hear and see in your imagination?
I'd say 50 or 60%. Pretty good.
For both, for audio and visuals?
Yeah, I would even say visuals is a little higher than visuals. Audio is higher than visuals
Audio is higher?
because visuals, yeah, visuals. I get distracted and I think of something else, but the audio stays.
Ah, okay. Is the distraction that you are having also like in this world? Like you feel like you want to imagine something else, or is it like from like your real life?
I think it's just like getting back to realizing I'm sitting in an interview. Millions of people are watching me right now. Me sitting with my closed eyes. So it's
Literally
just that.
millions. All right, cool. I mean, I guess the last like sense I would check with you is smell. Like if you can experience any kind of smell, or if you can imagine any strong smell.
Yeah, it's like the smell of old leather. If you ever smell like an old leather jacket,
Mm,
this is what it smells like.
overwhelmingly leathery. All right.
Yeah, not in a bad way. It's just nostalgic.
All right. Okay. Cool. As a big finale, I would like you to imagine an action scene. Can you tell us what action scene could happen on this airplane right now?
It's an air collision. another plane hit us, the side of the plane is open. It's just like probably just a Fight Club, because it's like so in my brain now. The daydream of the air collision. That's what I'm seeing right now. So I'm holding on to the seats while I see people getting sucked out of the plane. I wish I could make something like that in 3D, but I'm not there yet.
Soon. All right. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks, man. You can come back to reality now if you like.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks. Do you do this sometimes, or is it some you never really committed to imagining things like this?
I did an experiment like that twice in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Once it was like I didn't even know it was about like your sexual like behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I did something like that, and once it was basically the same thing. It was about like a house. You have to imagine a house, and then where is this house in an environment? I forgot what the result was, but yeah, I've done. This is my third time I did something like that.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. What do you like? Do you feel like you learned anything new from the experience just now?
I probably learned that I'm too influenced by movies. Like from everything I've seen, like that influences my mind a lot. Instead of trying to be creative, it's just like movies I've seen or scenes I've seen just are branded into my mind so much that it's harder for me to be creative.
So you would say you're working, like when you imagine things, you're working a lot with references.
Yeah, which is a good thing in art, right? But just for the creative process, probably not the best thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on in what position you are, right? Like, I think for creative brainstorming, I think it's really good to like just be able to like spit a lot of ideas, even if they are references to what already exists. But just having those
Yeah,
ideas in the room, especially in a group of people, really helps, I think, to create new ideas.
yeah, yeah. Learning from references and having like basically this repertoire of reference in your mind already. I think it's a great tool. I think this is like why Tarantino is Tarantino, because he's seen probably all the movies in the world, and he can use all those things as reference. So that's how of a genius he is. And I think that helps an artist a lot, like you said, in like creative brainstorming and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the ending of the interview, of my plan of what I want to do with the interviews. So
Oh man,
yeah.
already? Man.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I like what you do, and yeah, I mean, there is one thing I could add in the end, if that's appropriate.
Sure. Yeah. We're at the end now. You can say whatever you like.
For everyone who wants to become a professional artist, just remember, you don't have to know everything. If a client asks you for something and you don't know the answer, you don't have to just come up with something. Like in any profession in the world, nobody knows all the answers. If you go to a doctor and you ask him something, and he doesn't know all the answers either, or a lawyer, or all those people. So, as an artist or a filmmaker, our job is not to know everything. Our job is to solve a problem with the resources we have. So, the real powerful tool we have is the community around us and the people we trust. We can ask for advice, and that's something I always try to support. That build your community and find people you trust who are talented and skilled. Just like I have you. Every time I have a question, I always ask you first.
Thanks, man. Thank you. No, I like what you said. It was yeah, very very inspiring. I really like your mindset about that. Yeah. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Phil. I was really happy to have you on the interview. And of course, we're gonna keep doing stuff together. Maybe we gonna collab on some pieces in the future. I would be really happy to do that with you. Let's see if we can make that.
That'd be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
thanks so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. All right. Yeah. Then I'm gonna also thank everybody for coming by. And actually, we're gonna have another stream in around 10 minutes, the Create Together live stream, where we're just going through student submissions and I'm helping everyone to like, build their scenes or learn whatever they want to learn. So yeah, I'll see you guys for that in 10 minutes. And otherwise, check Phil's channels out. There's a guest link, a QR code on the bottom there next to his picture. So just scan that and you'll get to his YouTube channel, follow him, and yeah, you'll learn some good stuff. Bye bye.